Good evening. You are listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast by Power 88 and Fans Only Sports Network. I'm Adam Wright with CJ Medieros and Justin Hill. We're here to talk some pro football with you tonight, and we have a couple things to talk about, starting with the Pro Bowl, which might be eliminated entirely. So imagine that. You are going to be the only sport out of the top four sports in the U.S. to not play some form of an all-star game. They're thinking of replacing it with some sort of, skills challenges, which would be fun, but they're not going to be playing in any sort of Pro Bowl. They're thinking instead of improving it, we're just going to scrap the whole thing entirely. But what do you guys think of that idea that they might actually just take away the Pro Bowl completely?
Well, let me tell you something, Adam. I like this idea. I think the Pro Bowl and all all-star games are moronic. And I mean, it's just they make a selection in every sport. This is not just limited to the NFL. It's every sport. They make a whole show out of like, oh, look at how many Pro Bowl or all-star appearances he has. The voting is stupid, all right? It's like big names having awful seasons get it, like players that should rightfully be there get snubbed. And it's just no. And furthermore, the Pro Bowl in the NFL sucks. But then again, I think all-star games suck because there's no defense looking at you, NBA. But, oh my God. But honestly, I would rather watch the skills challenges. And I feel like a lot of Americans would agree. Like the skills challenges get infinitely more views than the actual Pro Bowl does. It's because it's basically touch football. Okay. Now, I mean, maybe if you get rid of the Pro Bowl, do like skills challenges or something, or maybe if you must, have your grand roster unveiling, just to keep, just to keep people like Brady happy who have like umpteen Pro Bowls, you can do that. But no, should there be a game? Probably not. No one gives 100% in those, and rightfully so, because you might get hurt. But if you like beefed up the skills challenges and stuff, that would be great. There's so many, and they should bring back some of the old ones. Like I remember. My dad, this is like when I was young, my dad was telling me they would like dip the front of the football in chalk, huck it down the field on a giant target, see how accurate they could be. Heck, there used to be a competition like where there was like a lot of like the bigger arms in the league. Like in the 90s, it was like Favre, Manning, and Bledsoe would just like huck it deep so you could throw it the furthest. See that? Stuff like that's interesting. The actual game, not so much. What do you think, Jay Hill?
You make a great point, CJ. When you look at the Pro Bowl situation, I've said it for years, it needs to be gone. Look at the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is basically a vacation for players who didn't even make the Super Bowl or the playoffs in some cases. For instance, with the Pro Bowl this year, you had like the two-hand touch, referee just calling just ridiculous stuff. Like it's not even a game anymore. It's basically like a vacation place where you just like play touch football. You know what I mean? Like the touch football you and I were playing back in September, CJ?
Yeah,
it's basically like something like that. But at the same time, these are national football players. And I understand, yes, you don't want to get hurt before off-season workouts or before you hang out with your family and do your winter routine, basically. But the exact same time, they need to just stick to like the events, what they do before the game, like what you're saying, CJ, like the throwing contests, the running, and all types of things with that. For instance, if you get rid of this, if you get rid of the Pro Bowl, like it'll be a great tool for fans. But you can definitely make change. You look in the NBA, not to get off topic. You look in the NBA, they did make a change towards the All-Star game to make it competitive in the last quarter. You look in the MLB, the MLB All-Star game is always competitive every single year. But to get on track with this here, if you want this to still be a thing, you have to change some rules to it.
All right. If no one else is going to defend the Pro Bowl, then I will. Look, you are the National Football League. Like you are the most popular of the big four main sports. You supplanted baseball as America's pastime in the 90s. And by the way, the MLB has a better All-Star game than you do. And instead of turning around and saying what can we do to improve it, you're just going to scrap it entirely. I really don't like that. See, being an all-star or a Pro Bowler, especially representing your team, is a great honor to the league and to your team, and the fans love when the Pro Bowl is there, and and it's popular. Fans love to go and tune in to watch those players represent their teams, especially when I used to watch the All-Star game. I used to love watching Xander Bogaerts and Mookie Betts play. And what the Pro Bowl has turned into is just this thing where, our Patriots don't even play. It's really just that irrelevant. So, what I think they should do is find a way to make it work. Make it work. You could put it during the season. You could put it before the Super Bowl. It is before the Super Bowl. You could make it after the season when players are all recovered or something like that. But to just scrap it entirely, I just hate it. I don't like it. You got to find a way to make it work, because you are the NFL. You can't be the only league out of the big four sports to not have any form of an all-star game, because it is a good statistical measure as well to look at a player's statistics and see, oh, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler. This is great. Now they won't have that. They'll have skills competitions, but that's not really. It's just not the same. And those will be fun. I like those. They're cool. And I used to like all the ideas that they had, but it's just not. I don't like it. I hate it. You need a Pro Bowl.
Well, Adam, first, let me just say this. You say the people like watching it. Well, last Pro Bowl got in about, we'll call it 6.7 million viewers. That figure's the lowest since 2006. And it's a 17% drop since 2019. What did you say?
I didn't say people. I didn't see people.
You said people like watching it, but apparently, no, they don't. And let me tell you something. The people might like it, be that as it may. But the players sure don't. The players don't care. But I do agree with you that it should be after the season. That way some of the big names who went to the Super Bowl could play.
At least make it during the season when players are playing it. Are playing anyways, but
no, but why would they do that?
I never said.
Why would they do that?
I just said in other sports. I just said in other sports, fans love seeing that one of the players on their favorite team is nominated, to see them represent their team. I didn't say that in this sport that people, they love the nominations. They love seeing,
no one watches it, but in other sports they watch it. The Pro Bowl is like one of the least popular all-star games, for lack of a better term, in the U.S. But if I may, I have some thoughts that I've spoken with some people that peer-reviewed, if you will, that I think could help. First of all, put it after the season so that some of the really big names that make it to the Super Bowl, can play. But for God's sakes, this is going to make me sound horrible. Get it out of the U.S. Because it's in Florida, or I think it's going to be in Vegas or something, or it would have been. I don't know. But players, it used to be in Hawaii, and players more enthusiastic because not every day you go to Hawaii. Put it I don't know, the NFL wants to expand. Maybe have it in Munich or Mexico City or England or wherever else you want to, maybe in Japan, wherever else you want to expand. Right. Because not only would the players care more because you're in a new city and you got to impress that foreign audience, it could line the NFL's pockets as well. It's just location is everything, and if you could bring the Pro Bowl overseas where it should be, it's more money for everyone, and on top of that, you would get a better product because the players would care about playing in front of a foreign audience. Make a good first impression.
That's what I'm saying. Figure something out. And I mentioned changing the dates. Changing location's a good thing too, because you said, they've gotten a little lazy. They've started just putting it in the US, which is where, players travel all the time to go all over the country. Go somewhere else. That's a good idea. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
I don't like scrapping it entirely. That's just, it's stupid. You can't be the only sport out of the big four major sports in the US to not have a Pro Bowl, especially since you are the NFL. I mean, the NHL has kind of figured it out. The MLB has figured it out. Their All-Star game is infamous. It's well known, and people actually view that. Why can't you figure something out? I just don't. I just don't like it.
When you look at the NFL, Adam and CJ, if you want to make the game, and meaning the Pro Bowl, a better way, talk to your players. We've seen this so many times in the NFL. What can be better done, such as regarding rules and different other things. If you are a player, for example, I remember Alvin Kamara or whoever it was after one Pro Bowl, they need to make a change or something like that. Listen to your players and also expand, like we were saying before, CJ. Maybe play in California, maybe play around in Italy, play in
California's.
Well, look at SoFi Stadium. If I'm got the stadium wrong, the name wrong, that can hold most 75,000 seats. Anyone in LA can go to the game, but most said and done, they definitely need to expand. And if you want this to continue, you have to come up with a change, because we're seeing all in sports they're definitely making change, but the NFL has refused to do something. I think the last good Pro Bowl I saw, I think it was 2006 or 2007 when Sean Taylor did the big hit, but there needs to definitely be a change.
Okay, we have a couple of comments, starting with Jeff Medeiros, who said players can still be named to the Pro Bowl and the game not played, so the stat can still be on the resume. That's a good point. I understand that. I also think there's also an honor to it of being able to play in the game, and I think they've kind of and to say that they don't care about the game itself, that is true nowadays, but I think that's because the league has watered the game down to the point where it's just not even, nobody cares anymore. It's just it's great being named as a Pro Bowler. That's what it is now. And especially when you're an all pro, that's awesome. People love that. And I was really paying attention to see whether or not it would be Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady would be nominated for the all pro. And it was Rodgers. I still think Brady should have been MVP. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, I mean that is correct. That sentiment is right. But I mean, it's just I blame it on the league, the fact that playing in the game, the players don't care anymore. I blame that on the league, because you really, because there was a point where the Pro Bowl actually mattered and people actually tuned in and players actually tried. Now they're not trying at all and nobody cares. And that was back when I believe what were they doing the Pro Bowl after the season back then?
I don't know, but I know it was in Hawaii. And players cared, but now they're doing it in Florida. They do it in the Gator Stadium. It's oh yeah, Florida's so special to the NFL. Yeah. They got 3 football teams down in Florida.
Yeah, that's so
no. I'm just saying moving the location would help so much, and that's why I say, if you want to test the waters in Germany, heck, have it in Munich, and like I said, also do it after the season.
Let me ask you a silly question, guys. Do you think the NFL, such as Roger Goodell, begged players? For example, you had Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes at the Pro Bowl this year. Do you think the NFL begged some of these star players to show up to the Pro Bowl? Because I personally think so.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, I'm sure the players still want to, be there just to be with all the players, and I'm sure that they're friends with a lot of the players around the league, and they'll just go just for the fun of it. But nobody really wants to actually try in the actual game
and get hurt.
Yeah. And we all know why they go to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Not to say beg, but there's some cases where they ask players, please, not saying please, just come for just the organization. You know what I mean? But
Now, the way I see it, and plus we all know a real reason. If there's a big name upcoming free agent, in the Pro Bowl, they're going to get swarmed by all the players. Hey, come to my team. No, come to my team. That's one of the real reasons why the players go. But that's neither here nor there.
It's kind of more the way it works in the NBA, where players.
No. I'm sorry. Did you see J.C. Jackson this offseason and Tyrann Mathieu, where they were players coming to him hey man, there were so many pictures.
I'm sure it does, but not to the extent that it happens in the NBA. I mean, it's basically turned into an AAU league where just players just want to play with their friends and just hang out and be all buddy, and it takes away from all the, it takes away from all
Yeah,
of
I
the
agree. I'm just worried
the
I mean, I've
loyalty
seen that in the
of the
NFL, and now it's like,
players.
yeah, I hear you, but it's like I'm worried the NFL is going down that route too.
I'm sure there is a correlation there because
Mhm.
I'm sure it's not a coincidence that the league has that this offseason and last offseason as well, if you guys remember, the player movement has just been crazy. But we do need to move on. And next, we are going to talk about the new nomination for this season of the HBO football reality documentary of Hard Knocks. It's going to be the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to talk about some of the storylines that could be featured from this team. It's a very intriguing pick. We'll get to that next. This is the Fumblerooski Podcast.
Here's Edelman broken up, and the pass is no sign yet. Edelman comes down with a football. They're saying it's a catch. It says caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Swings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
Welcome back. This is the Fumblerooski Podcast by Power 88 and Fans Only Sports Network. I'm Adam Wright, CJ Medeiros, Justin Hill with you. And so the nomination for the Hard Knocks documentary has come out, and it will be the Arizona Cardinals. So this is an interesting one. A lot of different storylines from this offseason. The team overall has improved a little bit, and it was kind of a dramatic season for them. They had a great start to the year, and then they sort of fell off a little bit. So this upcoming season is going to be an interesting one. There was the contract dispute with Kyler Murray. And there's also DeAndre Hopkins 6-game suspension, along with Marquise Brown being traded to the team and being a former teammate in college of Kyler Murray. So that's going to be interesting. Plenty of storylines with this team. But what do you guys think of this new team being on Hard Knocks?
First, all right, I got a question. Did the Cardinals get on the Hard Knocks or no, never mind. I just saw the headline. It's the in-season Hard Knocks. And honestly, I don't know. If I were a team, I would not want to be on Hard Knocks during training camp's fine, but in season, I would not want that. I really wouldn't. That's just an unnecessary distraction. And Hard Knocks by itself is fine. I think the in-season one's ridiculous. Just another shameless cash grab by the NFL. But I will say this. I do think it's going to be very interesting. And maybe there could be a bit of a Hard Knocks curse. You never know, because the Colts were really good. Then they flamed out at the end of the season to Jacksonville. And some people are like, oh, is the Hard Knocks a bad influence? Well, the Cardinals have a history of flaming out at the end of these seasons. So, let's see if that happens. But more on the Cardinals, though. I'm trying to think of how to put this. I want to see what goes on there because Kyler Murray's unhappy and he hasn't even signed his deal yet. I think at that time Hopkins might be back, so it's gonna be interesting to see how they gel. But I'm really interested in Cliff Kingsbury because as I alluded to earlier, Kingsbury and the Cardinals always start out hot, and then all of a sudden the clock strikes 12. They turn back into a pumpkin, and then they can't move the ball to save their life. I mean, what was it, the past 2 years? They started out so good, and then they fell apart. So I'm hoping Hard Knocks can maybe capture some of that. What's really going on behind the scenes? Why did they completely flame out at the end? Those are the real questions.
All right, Jay Hill.
With this decision here with Hard Knocks choosing the Arizona Cardinals, it's really going to be very interesting what I really want to see with the Cardinals, such as the issue with Kyler Murray, the DeAndre Hopkins, and what the team is going to do without Christian Kirk, if I'm missing his name. And like just regarding with their defense, because the Cardinals, they had a great season. They began last season 8-0, and all of a sudden they just went on a losing spree, and then they wound up losing to the LA Rams in the wild card game. If you look at this here, you guys, it's going to be a very interesting show. If you look at I'm not going to be name calling, but my name for Kyler DeWitt Murray. I would like to see what he's going to do in this series throughout the whole season. I would like to see what his attitude brings. You've heard a lot of rumors this offseason how he could be
Kyler and Tua, you just straight up hate, don't you?
No, I'm not a hater. I'm just saying.
You definitely are.
No, he's a complete whip. But
That's
I wouldn't. But in my opinion,
is he really wrong?
I really want to see maybe two teams in Hard Knocks this year in the season. It could have been maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the I was gonna say the LA Rams, but no, the LA Chargers. I would maybe want to see maybe those two teams. For example, like with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have an all-black coaching staff, a black head coach, a black defensive coach, a black offense coach. I would love to see something like what are they going to do to help out Tom Brady in his potential maybe last season, which it could. Maybe with the LA Chargers, look at what they've done, traumatic moves this off season, what the team is going to bring. But it's going to be really fun to see what the Cardinals are going to do in this Hard Knock series. I'll definitely see it.
All right, so I love this pick. I really do love this pick for Hard Knocks. And I don't want to pick the team that's just the best team or the worst team. That I want the team for Hard Knocks to be the most intriguing one. The one with the most headlines, the one with the most, it's tension, it's TV, it's television. I want to see some stuff. And what I particularly want to see is the contract dispute between Kyler Murray and the team. I want to see how this relationship shapes up and how everything mends together when we get into the season with Kyler Murray and his team, because it's clear that things were not good over this offseason. And I want to see how this shapes out during the course of this season. Will the Arizona Cardinals be rise above it and be a good team, and will Kyler Murray and his team make up, or will things just go to crap and just stuff hits the fan? I want to see that. I want to see how things go, and I want to see tension. I want to see tensions really just fly, and I think that's a great thing to show. And I also want to see the relationship between Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown. I think Kyler Murray is a player who, he likes to throw the ball a lot more than Lamar Jackson, and Marquise Brown is kind of a bit of a fish out of water in Baltimore. I know he put up better statistics this past season, and he had a better rapport with Lamar Jackson in the passing game, but he still wasn't quite a fit in Baltimore. They were more of a run-first offense, and he couldn't really fit there. And I know our pal Justin Tucker, who is not on the show with us tonight, I know he has some strong feelings against the Marquise Brown trade, but I think it worked out for the Cardinals because it just seems like he fits that scheme a lot better. Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown, they were teammates back in college, which is why both players were first-round picks. They helped each other out a lot, and now they're going to be teammates. I want to see how that goes because I think that could work out low-key better than how DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray worked out. I know DeAndre Hopkins is a better player than Marquise Brown. That's hard to dispute. However, I think the relationship between the two is going to produce better numbers, and it might make for a better team. It'll be a more fun offense to look at, and I think it'll be a little more. It'll be less dysfunctional. I think it'll function a lot better. So I really do like this pick. There's plenty of headlines going around through this Arizona Cardinals team, and I really want to see it.
I mean, I guess it's just like I said, you know what I'm interested in. I want to see why they implode, and But honestly, it's just like I said. The thing with Kyler, like you said, is like, it's extremely interesting. Truly, but, I mean, that's really all I got.
I mean, it's just it's the whole thing was just childish, and I don't want. I'm not taking either side. I'll take the Cardinals, but
But then I get criticized for calling him a wimp.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing you for calling him a wimp. I'm just call it as it is. You're hating on him. You're hating him.
That's not hating. That's just calling him a nickname. I have playing nicknames.
But that nickname is hating.
I'm not Williams the fantasy curse. I call Tua no throw Tua, and for this guy here, I call
that's all. That's all hating. I'm not saying whether or not it's justified or unjustified, but that's what it is.
No,
it is. It is. If you're calling him a wimp, if Kyler Murray was on the show tonight and you said stop being a wimp, how do you think he would respond to it?
Okay,
he's not hating. I'm not
gonna call the man a wimp. I'm gonna question his ability of how of a teammate he is and the way he associates things. But I'm not gonna call a grown man a wimp. Like you know what I mean?
To his face. He'll just do it behind his back.
Well, I'm not a coward at the same time. Doesn't like.
So will you or will you not call him a wimp? I'm gonna call up Kyler Murray and we're gonna try and have him on the show.
We'll see how you react. I will criticize him for what he does, but I'm not gonna call a man like how can I say? I'm not gonna be a coward. I'm gonna definitely say yes, I did say that you are a wimp, but why do you act like this way? Knowing that you are a great quarterback.
So you're gonna ask why are you a wimp, not calling him a wimp.
Hey, that might be the best stance to take, honestly.
At the exact same time,
he's gonna leave the show right away.
He won't even answer that. These players are all self-entitled and all that.
The reason why I call him what he is because the amount of controversy in it was during this whole offseason. We've talked on podcasts in February through March about this guy, and it got to the point where you hear his name too much. That's when the nickname came up for him. If he was to come on this show, I would criticize him and ask him, why were you acting like this way? And if he has a problem with what I said, I can accept his hate. I can accept it. But at the same time, I'm gonna talk to you as a man because we're all human at the end of the day.
So wouldn't you rather not? I mean, I wouldn't say why are you a wimp, or just ask why did your agent come out and make this statement saying saying that you want to be paid like you are, that come out and say that why did you unfollow all of your team's social media on Instagram?
Either way, he wouldn't answer that. Because, players, can't dare tip their hand because they're aware that they're being petty. That's the thing. They know they are. But they're not going to be caught dead saying that. I mean, look, with all due respect, that's just not a question you ask someone. Because, I mean, even if you did, they're not going to answer it because they're like, oh, my God, how dare you call me out?
Well, that's my point. That's kind of my point. There's really no way. This is criticism, and it is hate. Just criticizing him and saying, you're a wimp. It's not okay to unfollow all your team on social media, and that's basically taking everything out and making it public. Why can't you just do this behind closed doors?
Okay,
exactly.
And I'm not saying that that what you're saying is unjustified, Jay Hill. I'm just saying that it is criticism and it is hate. I'm not saying it's unjustified. I agree with you.
Let me give you an example here. Not this is football talk. This is based on what we're talking about. Do you remember when Skip Bayless criticized T.O. a couple years back of what he called him? And he went on his show and asked him, "Why'd you call me that?" And Skip explained why. The same way Skip Bayless explained to T.O. what he called him. I forgot what the word was on the time. You can look it up because this did happen. I will do the same thing with Skip Bayless to explain my reason to why I called him that name and criticized him to what was going on at the time. You know what I'm saying?
But Skip Bayless on whether he was on Undisputed or First Take, that's not real sports television. It's just it's more so entertainment. I guarantee you a lot of the opinions that you hear Skip Bayless or Stephen A. Smith or Shannon Sharp, or Max Kellerman, if you hear them off camera, they probably have completely different opinions. Because, sometimes they're not allowed to agree, or they have to be out there. They have to be entertaining. It's all an entertainment factor, which is why I kind of don't really take ESPN seriously. And I'm starting to trend that way towards Fox Sports as well. Their sports shows are their sports shows are complete jokes. And you and like us, like sometimes on our show, we will get a little, I mean, we'd like to have focus on the entertainment factor a little bit, because we want this to be a fun show for you guys, but we also want to tell things how it is. We don't want to sort of censor anything. We don't want to just be too afraid to agree on things. We'll give our takes and we'll be as fun with it as we can. But at the end of the day, we're not going to compromise our integrity with our in sports just because we want this to be fun to watch. This is journalistic integrity. And
careful, those words are foreign to ESPN.
Yep, and Fox Sports and CNN. And
so
it's just, I just don't take a lot of what you hear on Fox on ESPN seriously. I
talk my own meanings. You get what I'm saying, Adam? I don't copy of no one stuff. I speak to what I speak on. But I get what you're coming from.
All right. Well, we do have to get going on, and we're going to move on to the fan box. We're going to talk about which team that you believe is the most underrated team going into the season. A lot of changes, a lot of player movement over this offseason. We want to know what team you guys like going into this season. I'm excited for all these responses, and you're not going to want to miss this. This is the Fumblerooski Podcast. You are listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast by Power 88 and Fans Only Sports Network. Adam Wright, CJ Medeiros, Justin Hill with you. And we have reached the end of our show, and you know what that means. That means we are on to the Fumblerooski fan box. So what that is we post a question filter on our episode every Monday, and you can respond with hot takes, questions, and more, and we will discuss it and give you a shout out on our podcast. Respond to next week's fan box question to be featured on our show. Now, the question of the week was, what is the most underrated team going into this 2022 NFL season? So our first response was from Diego Huertas, who said either the Eagles or the Saints. So these are two teams that we've talked up a little bit in recent weeks, as they have made some sort of late off-season additions, if you will. The Saints were very active during the draft. They had 2 first-round picks. They traded to get one from the Eagles. They got a wide receiver, Chris Olave, who I believe was a reach, but still highly touted wide receiver, first-round pick either way. They also got a tackle to replace Terron Armstead, who was a big loss for them. So it is certainly important to keep your quarterback Jameis Winston upright. The Eagles, that's an interesting one. So we did talk this one up. You guys, I wasn't on the show on this past Thursday, but we talked about the Eagles after they got James Bradbury. That in of itself, the addition of James Bradbury to combine with Darius Slay, vicious combo. And if both of those players play up to their potential, that's potentially the best secondary in the league. They improved up front with the addition of Jordan Davis on that front 7. That's going to help their run defense. Hassan Reddick, a defensive end, who is a great pass rusher. That's a very good signing for them. They got Devontae. They still have Devontae Smith, along with A.J. Brown, who is one of the better wide receivers in this game, one of the more underrated wide receivers, to tell you the truth. And they still have Miles Sanders on that team for Jalen Hurts. So it's either Jalen Hurts can play or not. And if not, they do have 2 first-round picks in next year's draft. But I think either way, this team is a playoff team, regardless of whether or not Jalen Hurts can play. So I like that one. What do you guys think of it?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Sorry. I agree with Philly. We spoke about Philly and the Saints. Like I said, getting Jameis back, I think, was key because, Jameis was pretty good before he tore his ACL. And I wasn't crazy about the Olave pick, but it works. And they just got Jarvis Landry. So, that's going to help a lot. And their offense should pick up a lot. And, I feel like both of them you could say are most improved. I, of course, lean to Philly because, the Bradbury and Brown signings.
Yeah.
With the teams you just mentioned, you guys, the Eagles, they definitely made a great push in the draft when they acquired A.J. Brown. You've heard a lot of things regarding what they're going to do this offseason. I think the Eagles have definitely improved regarding their O-line and regarding their receiving core. You look at the Cleveland Browns. They spent the most money out of any team this offseason, if I'm not mistaken. But at the same time, they got their –
we'll get to that team, though.
Yeah. They got their quarterback, Deshaun. And then you look at the Saints as well. They re-signed Jameis. There's rumors that Breeze might return, which I doubt. But at the same time,
no, he's not coming back.
Saints,
that's not a rumor.
But at the exact same time, the Saints, they definitely make great moves this offseason as well.
Yeah. All right. So Jack Robb, he said Jets or Eagles. So we already discussed the Eagles a little bit. If there's anything you guys want to add on, feel free. But Jets, I want to address the Jets here. They still have Corey Davis, who's an underrated wide receiver in himself. And you have Elijah Moore, who came out and showed some promise. He showed some real flashes this season. I believe he had an 800-plus yard year for him. You have Michael Carter in that backfield, who's being joined by what's his name, Breece Hall. Breece Hall, who it looks like that's going to be a 1-2 punch in that backfield. That defense looks a lot better. That Ahmad Gardner pick at number 4 was a slam dunk. Like I said, the only thing they could have messed up with that pick is not picking him. If he's there, you take him. That's just anybody else. It doesn't work. Then they got Garrett Wilson, and you have a rookie quarterback who's going into his second year. I really like the position the New York Jets are in. This is probably the best position they've been in probably since the late 2000s, early 2010s, when they went to back-to-back AFC championships. And I say this half joking. I can't wait till next year's draft when they mess up other top prospects' careers. But in all seriousness, this is they had a great draft. They brought in I'm forgetting the Bengals tight end they brought in.
Uzama?
CJ Uzama. But great all-around talent. All 3 of their first-round picks were slam dunks. But anything you guys want to say about that?
Yeah, I got some. First of all, they're slam dunks on paper. Let's see how it plays out. This is the Jets, after all.
That's what
I'm saying. I mean, they are improved. And this is something, especially with the Jets, that I want to say. When we say most improved, we mean most improved on paper. Your offseason and the regular season are 2 completely different things. And the Jets, Zach Wilson has no excuse not to suck next year. He has to take a step up. He really does. You look at the receiver core, you look at all the weapons they gave him. His O-line's getting better. And the defense is starting to become a little bit scary. Like, he has no excuse not to suck. And I'm tired of everyone saying, oh, he had flashes. There was a lot to like in his rookie season. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, there wasn't.
So you mean he just needs to take a couple steps forward?
Yeah, he does.
He doesn't
and I truly believe if Zach Wilson does not take the next step next season or this incoming season, it's all for naught. I truly believe it.
When you look at the New York Jets, like, They did a terrific job in the draft this year, and you have to give credits to Joe Douglas, their general manager. Their GM, my fault. Their GM. Because
that's what general manager means, man.
Yeah, I know. My fault.
Yeah,
I mispronounced.
General manager.
Yeah. Off day. But at the same time, they did everything regarding their draft class. They drafted receivers. They drafted defense. They've done a lot of things. Now it's all up to Zach Wilson, their future quarterback, and what is he going to do, like what you just said, CJ? Is he going to be the same Zach Wilson of last season, get hurt and all? To me, I think Zach Wilson is going to have definitely a great season, maybe hopefully be in the wild card game. But I would like to see what you have to say, Adam.
Well, yeah, I've kind of given my opinion on it, but overall, like this is a good. They've set themselves up very well, and I don't think Zach Wilson's under too much pressure because he's only going into his second year, and usually you want to make an accurate assumption on your quarterback about 3 years in. That's usually the timetable that you give. That's kind of the standard when it comes to quarterbacks who come into the league. And I would like to see him take a step forward. Maybe not. Obviously, if he's still what he was last year, then that's a problem. But give him a couple of years. I think if he has a positive touchdown to interception ratio, then that's good. If he throws for at least, let's say, more than 2,500 yards, then I'll be like, okay, you guys might have something. Give him another year. Add some more.
No, over 3,000. Come on, let's not do that.
I'm trying. He's only going into his second year.
Okay, yeah. Mac Jones already has more expectations, and so is Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, well, Mac Jones was in a much better position, better coach, better organization. You need more pieces, and I think we're just too spoiled with seeing some of the truly elite quarterbacks around the league. What about Josh Allen? Remember Josh Allen? He didn't have a stellar second year. He wasn't great.
He was very mad, but yeah.
Exactly.
Then
he took that jump.
His second year was, but
his third year he took the real jump.
Yeah,
which is what I'm saying. Just give it some time with these young quarterbacks.
What was crazy with Josh Allen though is that he started off as a backup. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah, even still, Trevor Lawrence also has higher expectations. I think he was the number 1 overall pick, but it's just like I really think all their success hinges on Zach Wilson. That is all.
I know. I agree. He has the keys to the kingdom. So CJ said Vikings, they fixed most of their problems and Green Bay took a massive step back. So do you want to elaborate any further on that?
As a matter of fact, I do. Now, if you look at the draft, they got safety Lewis Cine, however you pronounce it, in the first round. And then in the second round, somehow Andrew Booth fell to them. I'm not happy about that as a Pats fan, but you know what you're going to do. And like I said, they've seemed to have addressed their secondary. Patrick Peterson is there. He's not what he once was. He could be a great veteran leader for all those youngsters.
Yeah.
And Cine should come right in and produce off the bat, I would expect. And, their O-line has gotten a little bit better. You still have Kirk. You got Dalvin Cook. You have my man Jay Jettas. And who could forget Adam Thielen. And their real tight end, Irv Smith Jr. is coming back. And that's going to help immensely. Not to mention Danielle Hunter on the D-line is coming back from injury. Also great. And when I see the Vikings, I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but they've improved quite a bit. They're already a good team. But what they did in the secondary, I think, would really help, especially since Green Bay got really weak. No more Devontae Adams. That really hurts. And no more Zadarius Smith either. And they lost other receivers like Geronimo Allison, Equinemius St. Brown. And their wide receiver core is not very good. Like, you're going to need, second-round pick Christian Watson to come out. Huh?
Valdez-Scantling, too.
Oh, yeah, Valdez-Scantling. I knew I was forgetting one. Thank you. And, but you have
Did you say Lazard? Or you said Randall Cobb?
No, I'm getting there. I said I'm talking about who they do have right now.
They have Lazard, Christian Watson, and
Randall Cobb, man.
I'd mention Watkins before him, but Cobb is there.
Watkins is just something, I guess. But long story short, Vikings addressed their biggest weakness, which was the secondary, and they could really contend the AFC North. Now that Green Bay, like I said, is taking a step back. It's their move now.
Right. Yeah, the Vikings, I have them there. I've mentioned this plenty of times on our show that this offseason, they're my favorite to win the NFC North. They've improved in the places they needed to improve in, and teams around them have gotten worse. The Lions have gotten better, but they're a couple of years away from contention. We did have one of our listeners mention him, and we'll get to that. But Ian Malern. And Ian, let me know if I have your pronunciation correct for your last name. But he said the Colts. So I do like this team because the Colts low key might be better than Tennessee now that they lost AJ Brown. We'll see how Treylon Burks is in Tennessee in his rookie year. He is physically a clone of AJ Brown, but physicality is much different than actual skill and hard-nosed toughness. So yeah, I think all around that team is really good. The defense, they fix things up in the secondary. They have a great offensive line, and they upgraded at quarterback, which was their main issue for a team that barely missed the playoffs. By the way. They could have, if they didn't have a slow start to that season, gelling with a new quarterback, they would be in the playoffs. But they're not because, Carson Wentz falls apart when it matters most. And not to say that Matt Ryan won't, but Matt Ryan will fall apart in the playoffs. He won't fall apart at the end of the season. So I think this is a good team. And I really like the Colts.
I mean, I do, but I'm sorry. I still view Matt Ryan as a bridge quarterback. I really do. And I mean, I disagree with the Colts being most improved because their biggest addition was Matt Ryan. And they entered the year with so much cap space, and they only used it to absorb his massive contract. They got Rocky Sin for Unique. They gave up Rocky Sin for Unique Ngakoue, who's not really what he was. Like, congratulations, I guess. And you got Mo Alley Cox back. It's just, I don't know. I just don't think Matt Ryan's like the long-term answer. Oh, yeah. Oh, right. And Gilmore, yeah.
That's why I said they really improved that secondary. And they still have Kenny Moore to be their number 2 receiver, their number 2 corner. And
they got – I'm sorry. I was going to say they got –
They might be a little thin at wide receiver, but I think Michael Pittman will definitely be elevated by the upgrade in quarterback.
Yeah. Plus, they got Alec Pierce, I think, in the second round, the wide receiver from Cincinnati. That's pretty good. But I'm not entirely sold on Matt Ryan, but I'll hold my official judgment until later.
So I mentioned before, one of our fans, and it was Tyson Tate, who mentioned the Lions. Division rivals of mine, and he's a Vikings fan. Detroit Lions can take second in the North behind the Vikings. So he's not underrating the Vikings. He's at the point where he's expecting a division victory for the Vikings. And that's my expectations for them as well. I think they should have that division. That's theirs to lose at this point. I think Green Bay is going to be competitive, and they're my pick to be second. I just think the Lions, maybe they'll be a 500 or better, or they can't be 500 because of the new record, the new expanded season. They'll be maybe above 500. That's my prediction for that team. I just don't think I just think the Detroit Lions aren't there yet. And Green Bay will take second place. They have a solid scheme in place. The team looks like it's built for defense and running the ball. They still have A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones in that backfield to hand off to. They have a serviceable offensive line, and they have a quarterback who can game manage. I'm sure he won't be happy about it because we know how Rodgers loves his statistics. But it looks like it's a defense and running the ball team. Their secondary is deep and awesome, and their front seven has improved a little bit. They've taken a half step back in their pass rush, but I like the Packers over the Lions. But the Lions have improved. I'll give them credit where it's due.
Yeah, I like the Lions. Thought they had a good draft, especially in the first round where you nabbed Hutchinson and Williams. But I don't know. I'm not sold on Goff, and I think Goff. If they had like a Matt Ryan, if the Lions had a Matt Ryan, I would definitely say they could definitely contend for second place. But right now with Goff, I don't see it.
I like Goff. I think Goff is I think he's not the number one overall pick that he should be. But I like Goff. He's more of a bridge quarterback, but if you put a good team around him like he had on the Rams, then he can take you to the playoffs, and he's been to a Super Bowl. So he has that.
I mean, he doesn't have the Rams around him. He really doesn't. Look, that Jared Goff had amazing stats that year. And like, for example, this is going to bother me. Let me pull this up real quick.
You want to pull up the stats of
yeah. So what year was that? 2018.
2018.
Yeah, 4,688 yards, 32 touchdowns, 12 picks, 101.1 passer rating. Last season in Detroit, 3,245 yards, 19 touchdowns, only 8 picks, and a 91.5 passer rating. I don't hate him, but it's just I don't think he's a quarterback that can get you second place. He's good as a bridge, but we're going to need to see some real answers at QB for Detroit.
All right, we can agree to disagree there, but I really like what the Lions are doing. If they build a good enough team around him, I think they can certainly finish second and maybe first if they can really build this team up eventually. I'm talking in a couple of years from now.
Yeah, that's true. I also don't buy into their defense, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, but so Tyson Tate, your Lions, I just disagree with you. Sorry, man. Love you to death, but Patrick Williver said Cardinals. So we did talk up the Cardinals a little bit on their nomination to be the next team for the in-season Hard Knocks. That is a team that I think the offense can low-key play better because that rapport between Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown, I think that's going to be a good connection. I really like that connection, and I think it'll produce better than DeAndre Hopkins with Kyler Murray. And that might seem like a cold take now, but just wait till the season starts because the season's going to heat up, and what it's going to come down to is the relationship between the players and the fact that these two were college teammates and they're buddy because they used to play together. That's going to be a big factor. And not to say that DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray didn't have a solid relationship. They probably did, but not as good as Marquise Brown. And I think Marquise Brown is also a fishy out of water in Baltimore. But yeah, what do you guys think of the Cardinals as an underrated team?
Yeah, underrated. I definitely feel exactly the same way. Like I said, I like the Hollywood ad. I know they made I hate this because I can't put my finger on it, but I know they made some improvements to the secondary. Maybe you guys can help me out. But overall, yeah, they certainly helped. I mean, it certainly helped. But I don't know if I'd say the most improved, but yeah, they definitely improved quite a bit.
They definitely did improve regarding re-signing Zach Ertz and also James Conner at the same time, but they definitely have much more.
Yeah, so is James Conner.
They definitely
they didn't re-sign. So they re-signed James Conner. I thought you said James Cook. I thought they
no. I said
different team.
Yeah, but regarding with re-signing James Conner, they definitely have much more to prove. Knowing that DeAndre Hopkins he's not going to come back until week 6, I think, or week 8. But let's see what the time will tell for the Cardinals because they definitely have a lot to improve regarding the tremendous upset they happened last season.
All right. Well, Nick Normand had 2 responses. So his first response was, "I'll go Jets. This will be the most fun Jets offense in years." So we talked about that a little bit. I'm not sure if I have anything to add for the Jets. I mean, the Jets, they have a nice young core built up, and it's going to come down to whether or not Zach Wilson can play, on whether or not this Jets team can become competitive again in the next coming years. I don't think it's going to be this year. They could be solid, but I think they're very close. But his other response was the Chargers. So this is an interesting one. So they were projected 3rd in their division and had a great offseason with a top 5 quarterback. 2 things. One, you and CJ, you and I were talking a little bit about this before the episode. I'm not sold. I'm not completely sold on Justin Herbert being a number one or a top 5 quarterback in this league just yet. He's shown all of the tools. Just he hasn't proven to be able to win yet. It's not like he hasn't had, and he's made better. He's made bigger strides than most young quarterbacks at this point in his career. We were just talking about Zach Wilson going into his second year. We remember rookie Justin Herbert, and we were looking at him as becoming a future Hall of Famer. Zach Wilson's not that, not yet at least. But Justin Herbert, not sure about him. I know he's going to figure it out because he's just shown he's just too talented of a quarterback not to, and he has a good head on his shoulders. But with the talent he's had, and also the Chargers, I'm not sure if I don't have them third in their division. I think I have the Chargers first. I think that's the most improved roster. That's a team that really the only chink in their armor is in the run defense. Everywhere else, their pass rush is awesome with Khalil Mack now added to the mix. Their secondary is awesome now with J.C. Jackson added to the mix, and I'm forgetting the rookie corner that they also have, Asante Samuel Jr.
He's not a rookie, but all right.
Well, I mean, going into a
I know.
He was a rookie last year. That's what I meant.
Yeah, and he got hurt, so basically it might be considered his rookie year. They do that in the NBA.
Yeah, I do like him. I do like this Chargers team. I don't know if I would call them underrated. I think that's my favorite to finish first in the AFC West, which says a lot because that division is crazy competitive.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
I was just kind of.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't call them underrated, but there's definitely a case to make, for like the most improved. They got Mike Williams back. They got a good guard in the draft to shore up that O-line, and they got Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. The Chargers are playing Madden with a salary cap turned off. Let's be honest. And but yeah, there's definitely a case to be made, and they're certainly one of, if not the most improved.
All right. Well, Jack Hartman said Cleveland Browns, they improved at the biggest positions they needed. They did improve at the biggest position, which is quarterback. And best of luck to Baker Mayfield finding a job. I'm sure he'll find a way to start somewhere in the league as long as he can get off that Cleveland Browns roster somehow, who still hasn't been traded, by the way. But they did improve at the wide receiver position with their top receiver being Amari Cooper, but past him, they're a little thin there. Everywhere else, they have a great defense that's only going to get better, from last season. And they have a great rushing attack headed with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. They're just a little thin at the wide receiver position, and we're still not sure on whether or not Deshaun Watson will face a suspension to start the year. And we all love that phrase, innocent until proven guilty, but we all also know that the NFL does not see it that way sometimes. And they love to, like, for example, Deflategate, very little evidence. Ezekiel Elliott, very little evidence. Both quarterback Tom Brady and Ezekiel Elliott faced suspensions, so we could easily see this going somewhere. But I do like the Browns. I like the Browns coming into this season. I'm not sure if they'll be division winners because that division is very, very competitive, just like the AFC West. But any other thoughts about this team?
With the Cleveland Browns, they have many stars in their team. They just recently re-signed Clowney. They got Amari Cooper in the trade, and also Deshaun Watson. I would really like to definitely see what the ball club can definitely do with Deshaun Watson QB when he plays. I definitely want to see how the coach is going to operate in the system and as well. And I also love to see the running game be much better, knowing that Nick Chubb, he had a couple injuries last season, but him being healthy this year. But I'm really glad to see what the time brings towards the football club. Any other things, CJ?
No, you guys hit the nail right on the head. I mean, I was going to talk about I don't like their receivers, but Adam got that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's basically the only problem I have with that roster.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good team, but otherwise, like that's they really need. I thought they were going to try and get Jarvis Landry, but the Saints snagged him. They could. This is an interesting one. They could go and get Will Fuller, because who's quarterback who had a great relationship with Kyle Fuller back during Fuller's Houston days is Deshaun Watson, who is now a Cleveland Brown. So for him to be your number 2 receiver, barring any injuries, because he does have a lot of them, that could be a good spot for Kyle Fuller. I keep saying Kyle Fuller. Will Fuller. It's just that you hear Kyle Fuller more nowadays because Kyle Fuller has been a very good corner. He did fall off a little bit during his Broncos days, but he became a damn good corner for Chicago before they cut him, and then they decided, and then he went to the Broncos. He's a Raven now, but that's why I keep on saying Kyle Fuller. So apologies there. But Will Fuller, that's a good spot, and I think they need each other. But any other thoughts before we end the show tonight? All right. We went a little long with our fan box responses, but we wanted to go more thorough in discussing what you guys said, because we love getting your responses. And again, make sure you guys respond to our fan box. We love hearing what you guys have to say, and we would love to have you guys on the show at some point to be a guest, and we want to hear you guys talk about this stuff in person. But that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Be sure to listen to us live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7:30 on Twitter and Facebook through Fans Only Sports Network. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage on the NFL. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Over and out.